on this Football Friday. Week 18 watch, we have 3 monster games this weekend. The first of them will be on ESPN tomorrow afternoon. Peter Schrager joins us from Tampa. You will be there working the Panthers and Bucks. What's the most important thing you're watching for in this game in Tampa Bay?
If we can get 2 players back for Tampa, Kalijah Kancey and Tristan Wirfs. Both of them have practiced this week. Both of them massive, massive pieces to this team. One of them dominates the offensive line. One of them dominates the defensive line. It's all or nothing for Tampa, and even with that, they need help from the Saints to get in the playoffs. But talking to the Buccaneers folks yesterday, Kancey and Wirfs, 2 veteran leaders, 2 guys who they need in the trenches.
All right, we'll see all that in the pregame. Harry, the Seahawks and 49ers are the late game on ESPN tomorrow night. That one is straight up for the 1 seed. What are you watching for?
It's going to be quarterback Sam Darnold. Can you be the best quarterback on the field in this matchup going up against Brock Purdy? But also, can you complete your New Year's resolution this year because you didn't do it last year? Same situation, right? You have an opportunity to get the number 1 seed in the NFC and also win your division. Can you be the best player, not just quarterback on the field this Sunday versus a depleted defense of the San Francisco 49ers?
And then Sunday night, we will have the Steelers and Ravens to finish the season. And for one team, it will quite literally be the finish of their season. Bart, what are you watching for in this game?
As it should be, Green. All the marbles on the line. Lamar Jackson playing as a wounded warrior. Will he be willing to use his legs? Because Tyler Huntley last week was willing to use his legs and compliment Derrick Henry. Will he be willing to take the price with the tender ribs right there, especially the floating one, which Harry knows all about? It's a painful thing, but warriors fight through pain.
Well, speaking of Lamar Jackson, he was asked about his future in Baltimore yesterday and if he plans to play on Sunday, and so much of the discussion that has swirled around him. This is what he said.
Fans do ask, like, does Lamar want to be here? Is he where he wants to be? What?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I don't even know where that come from.
Probably because, some people think they're just waiting for you to sign a contract that gets something done with the fans.
But we got to focus on winning right now. So contract talking to me after the season or whatever, but during the season, I'm locked in.
Starting Sunday in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to be out there.
Okay, so before we get to the game, let's just do that. Bart, you were shaking your head. What?
Yeah, because questions like this is always going to come up with Lamar Jackson because he represents himself, right? Because, listen, feelings get hurt in contract negotiations. Things that can be said to your agent that he filters out that he never says to you. But when the player is there, how can you have those tough conversations when you have to have your quarterback feeling good about himself to go out on the football field? So I understand Lamar Jackson, where he's coming from and why the contract isn't signed. If it was a contract extension, everybody would know he wants to be there. And because of the ties with Miami, people think that he wants to go play home.
Peter, all this stuff swirling around him, something or nothing?
Well, there was a major piece in the Baltimore Sun last week by Mike Preston, who is a very respected columnist, in which there were a lot of little breadcrumbs of people in the organization throwing some shade at Lamar Jackson, which leads to some questions. They win without him last week, and a couple of years ago, he didn't play in the final weeks of the season, and there were a lot of questions around that when his contract was looming. I love that he said, I'm playing 100%, and I love that he said he wants to be there. From everything I've gathered from the Ravens organization, they absolutely want Lamar Jackson to be the quarterback of their future.
It would seem quite stunning if that were to be a divorce that we get. Now, the coaches are a whole separate conversation. I think there'll be a lot of talk about the futures for Mike Tomlin and or John Harbaugh after this game, but part of it will be determined by who wins. So, Harry, let's go on the field. What do you expect in the game on Sunday night in Pittsburgh?
Well, for the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, I think it's on the coaching staff. You look at Todd Monken. I understand that Lamar Jackson is your quarterback, but you got to remember, a guy by the name of Derrick Henry is on your roster who rushed for over 200-something yards last week and 4 touchdowns. This is the same Derrick Henry when Baltimore had the number 1 seed a few years ago that came in and beat you by himself alone. So get the football to Derrick Henry. When I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, how are they going to get it done? No DK Metcalf, and you also are losing your tight end as well that Aaron Rodgers is very fond of. So, who is going to be able to get it done and step up to the plate and be able to receive the football from Aaron Rodgers?
Bart, I don't recognize this Baltimore Ravens defense. I see a lot of high-priced, high-valued names, but I don't see the productivity. I don't see the tenacity that I'm used to seeing. And I'm scared of Gainwell because Gainwell is the matchup that I think the one matchup that they have. He's one of their explosive players, and can Valdez-Scantling kind of make plays down the field. Gainwell has been, probably a revelation, better as a receiver, also as a running back, and they have a mismatch. Do you decide to put Hamilton on him to try and neutralize them? But these games are all going to come down to, I played in a million of these. They're always going to come down to 3 points. And who makes that decision could determine what happens with the future of the coaches on these teams.
How about that, Peter? How about the big picture of all of this? It's going to get very noisy around the losing team on Monday.
Yeah, it sure will. And I almost find that to be as fascinating a storyline as who wins this game. Harbaugh and Tomlin, both are the two longest tenured coaches in the NFL. Both fan bases are restless with the way these teams are performing this year. And there's talk on both that maybe it's time for a change. But that doesn't come from those organizations internally. And I've said this before. This won't be one of those where either one wakes up and gets a call from their agent saying, oh my gosh, we just got the news, you're fired. This is going to be a long conversation if either one of these gentlemen leave their position. It's going to be a respectful, hey, on mutual terms, we're going to move on. That said, I look at this Pittsburgh team, I look at Aaron Rodgers, and I also look at a guy who lives for these moments. And the last time these two teams played a couple of weeks ago, same exact situation. They played Baltimore, and it was in Baltimore, and the Steelers came out swinging right from the jump, and the Ravens did not have an answer. So don't just look at the depth chart and look at last week in Cleveland and think that the Steelers are going to just take a nap and let this one. They're home. It's Rodgers. And Greeny, if you remember, Week 18 at home, the last time he put on a Packers uniform, he lost in a game in Lambeau to the Lions. And it was one that he still lives with today, and that was in 2022. So
yep.
I think Rodgers has something and a score to settle here. I would be shocked if they came out flat on Sunday night.
Very quickly look at the picks up there. Bart, there was never any question you were going to pick the Ravens in this game. Harry, you like Baltimore as well?
Yes, because of Derrick Henry in the run game. Pittsburgh has showed us all season long that they can be got in that department and stopping the run. So can you be able to stop Derrick Henry? I don't think it's going to be possible.
3 games that'll decide divisions this weekend. So let's take them in order, beginning with the NFC South. Joe, Panthers, Bucks, who you got?
Bucks, he says cautiously, knowing they're 0-8 against the spread in their last 8 games. This comes down to pricing. 2 weeks ago, these two met in Carolina. Tampa was -3. Now, 2 weeks later, it's in Tampa. Tampa's still -3. It's a rock bottom price, in my opinion. Take note of this. Carolina's -67 in point differential this year. The Giants are -75. That's way too close for comfort.
Bartholomew, you like the Panthers?
Yeah, man, defense wins championships, division championships.
Harry?
I'm going with the Panthers because I call their first matchup and the inability to play man coverage on the outside. Teteroa, McMillan, Jalen Coker, those guys winning on go routes. One for a touchdown, one set up the game with a field goal. I'm going with the Panthers in this one.
Peter's covering this game for us, so no pick from him, but all the insight. Peter, what are you watching for?
It's going to be an interesting one. We spoke to the Buccaneers yesterday in a production meeting, and they know what time it is. It's the first time this season that they don't control their own destiny. Baker said they're going to try to play loose and get this thing together, but so many veterans on that team, the JPPs, the Levante Davids, the Bakers, the Mike Evans. You'd hate to think they're going to finish the season 1-9, and that's how they go out with a whimper.
It's amazing when you think about where they were at one point this season. All right, then Saturday night, that game's on ESPN. Then tomorrow night's game also on ESPN. Seahawks and Niners, that's for the 1 seed. Joe, who you got?
I'll lay the 1.5 with Seattle. Sam Darnold's struggles this year have come when he's facing pressure. The good news for him, San Francisco can't generate pressure. Since Nick Bosa went down after week 3, Niners ranked 31st in pass rush win rate. Best unit on the field will be the Seattle defense. A lot of hype for the Niner offense, but over the last 7 weeks, they've cooked against teams like the Bears, the Colts, the Titans, the Panthers, and the Cardinals. Not exactly a who's who of defenses.
Bart.
I mean, this was a close game, but people forget it was the first game of the season, and Sam Darnold was under duress. No Nick Bosa this time. I think, people aren't giving the Seattle Seahawks defense the credit for how dominant they are. The West Coast bias.
Harry.
I'm going with Vanilla Vic and Brock Purdy. The way he's playing right now, I think he's the hottest quarterback in the NFL. And then Christian McCaffrey. Hey, Joe, you're a hater.
Who so? Schrager, I see the Niners under your name.
Yeah, Sam Darnold last year in this situation didn't exactly bring it. We'll see if he can this year. I understand the thought that the Seattle defense is unbelievable, but have you watched Brock Purdy in this offense? They've accounted for 90 points the last 2 weeks. If they win this game, it's been well documented. They don't have to leave their rooms. They don't have to leave their homes the entire way through the end of February, as they'll have the 1 seed and the Super Bowl played in their building. I kind of like the Niners in this one.
Feels like this one also could be for the coach of the year for Kyle Shanahan. If they get the number 1 seed, with everything that they have missed. Okay, Joe, Steelers-Ravens finishes the season on Sunday night. Who you got?
Tough one here. I have a better bet on the total. We'll get to that in a minute. For the side, I'd look to the Ravens, despite the fact that this is a classic Mike Tomlin spot. He's been a dog in his career against the Ravens 20 times, 14-4-2 against the spread in those spots. Now, this is broken down since 2020, where he's had just as much success. So you generally don't want to fade Tomlin here, but given how the offense looked last week against Cleveland without DK Metcalf, I'd be looking to the Ravens.
We talked about this game big picture a little bit earlier and all the things that are on the line. Will it be Aaron Rodgers' last game? Lamar Jackson's future feels like it's suddenly like at least a little bit murky. And you got Harbaugh and you got Tomlin. At the end of the day, let's talk about the game itself. Bart, you've got the Ravens, which is obviously not a surprise. Why do you think they win?
Well, I just think the physicality of Baltimore. I just try and figure out, where does Aaron Rodgers get the offense from, right? No Washington, no Metcalf, and that mistake, that error he made may come back and cost a lot of people their jobs.
Talking about DK Metcalf.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 2-game suspension. How about you, Harry?
I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's going to be a heavy Derrick Henry game. This is a guy that you can rely on, you can lean on, you can put the entire offense on his shoulders. He's shown the only running back I've known to lead a team to an AFC Championship game appearance back in 2019, I believe. But whenever you have a running back that can pimp slap anybody on defense, yeah, I'm taking that guy all day.
Ball security, job security, though.
Peter, you're going the other way.
I am. I've known Aaron Rodgers 20 years. I think he lives for moments like this, especially when he looks at those graphics of 3 people picking against him. The game's in Pittsburgh. A couple of weeks ago, they played Baltimore in Baltimore. They smacked them in the mouth to start the game, and they never looked back. I look at this. I think that Aaron Rodgers says, hey, let's put all our chips at the table. Let's go find a way. Let's win. And guess what? If they do win, next week they're home again and in a wide-open AFC with basically Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud and Drake May and Bo Nix and not Lamar and not Mahomes and not Burrow. Well, then we have a whole new lease on life. I like the Steelers in this one. Aaron Rodgers, one last fight. Let's go.
You look skeptical for it, Bob.
They scored 6 points against Cleveland last week, and before anyone says, well, Cleveland's got a great defense, December 7th, they gave up 30-plus to Tennessee at home in a loss. Peter makes good points. I mean, Tomlin as a dog in this spot has come through. I just don't know where they're going to get the offense from.
That's the question. To me, the DK Metcalf factor is just overwhelming because, Peter, as you're talking about that game they played in Baltimore a few weeks ago, he had a huge game.
They had him.
And that absence, I think, is, again, from a receiver's perspective, I mean, that absence is enormous.
Yeah, 100%. And then also Darnell Washington, he's a large part of their offense. So
run game.
Literally and figuratively, yes.
So you don't have any of those two guys. I'm trying to figure out where the offense is going to come from.
All right, Fortenbaugh, you said
Adam
you had... Oh, go ahead, Peter.
Thielen.
Yeah, well, say it
Adam
again.
Thielen. Scotty Miller.
Yeah,
They're going to all have to step up.
You don't believe that.
This is why you brought him in.
I can see it in your face.
We'll see what happens.